This has to be one of the messiest friends turned enemies stories I've ever seen. As some of you might know, Anna Paul and Mikaela Testa were incredibly close for years. They shared some amazing memories. Michaela even dated Anna's brother Addis for a while, which shows just how tight they all were. But when things fell apart, it got ugly. Michaela threw out some serious accusations against Anna and Addis. It was messy, it was public, and honestly, it was a little scary. This drama didn't just pop up overnight though. Looking back, you could see the cracks forming even while they were still pretending to be besties. There was tension under the surface for a long time, and when it finally exploded, it was like years of bad blood came pouring out all at once. What made them end up like this? Let's rewind and look into how it all started. Who is Anna Paul? Being an influencer isn't as easy as it seems. Sure, some people just stumble into fame by accident, while others have the money and connections to pretty much buy their way into it. Anna Paul, she's a little bit of both, with a whole lot of luck sprinkled on top. At her peak, Anna had around 2.3 million followers on Instagram, which is seriously impressive. But after all the drama and controversy blew up, her follower count took a hit. Now she's sitting at around 1.9 million. Still a huge number, but a big drop compared to where she was before things went sideways. Anna also blew up on TikTok. At one point she had around 6.8 million followers there, but now her numbers have been slipping. The last time I checked, she was down to about 6.1 million. Her follower count across all her platforms has been slowly dropping. Why the drop, you ask? Well, we will discuss that a little later in the video. Anna's contents are ever changing. She has been on Instagram for a long time, since around when Mark Zuckerberg took over Instagram in 2012. Her first post was of her dog somewhere in December 2012. She looked quite different then, and she probably had no idea that she would become so big as she is today. There's this old video from 2013, just a chill moment of Anna, her dad, and her brother hanging out in a cozy ski hut, laughing and having fun. Back then, she was getting a little bit of attention online, and honestly, it was enough for her at the time. It felt like the peak, like this is as good as it gets. But fast forward more than 10 years and things took a turn. Anna kept showing up, posting consistently, never chasing fame, but staying in the game. And somehow, all that effort paid off. She blew up in a way no one, not even her, saw coming. One of the biggest controversies Anna has faced over the years is all about the image she sold to her fans, especially the younger girls who looked up to her. She often painted a picture of growing up in a poor family, struggling to make ends meet, and having to work super hard to get where she is today. A lot of people connected with that story. It made her seem real, relatable, like the girl who made it against all odds. But later on, fans started to question just how true that story was. Some felt like she exaggerated or even twisted parts of it to build a certain image, one that would inspire but also keep people emotionally hooked.
So we grew up not having a lot of money, but our family life was always so amazing, so it didn't matter that much.
Just take a look at Anna's mom's face in that clip, totally numb, almost like she's trying not to react. Anna is going on about how poor they were growing up, and her mom just sits there, silent, keeping it together. You can tell she didn't agree with everything being said, but she also didn't want to embarrass her daughter. She knew it was part of Anna's online act, part of the brand, and she is supporting her, even if it meant staying quiet. Anna wasn't nearly as poor as she made it seem. Sure, she didn't grow up in the biggest mansion in Australia or anything, but her family wasn't struggling the way she described online. She may not be the daughter of one of Australia's richest men, but her parents were doing just fine.
It was just, we couldn't do a lot of stuff because we didn't have a lot of money, so, we'd have like $20 for the weekend, go get some fish and chips, just like a...
You could see the moment her mom couldn't hold it in anymore. She laughed when Anna claimed their family had just $20 to spend for an entire weekend. It wasn't a big laugh, more like one of those awkward ones, but it said a lot. Her face almost read, $20? Really, Anna? Like, even she couldn't believe the story her daughter was spinning. And that was just one of many things that didn't add up.
So we had no money, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna go get a job because I want to buy my mum some gifts. Like I went to her in the kitchen. I was like, Mum, I want to get a job because I want to start buying you some gifts. So I applied at Woolworths and I got a job there when I was 14 or 15. And
she claimed that this happened when she was 14 or 15 years old. Anna is currently 25 years old, so from that we can say that her story happened about 10 years ago. She didn't start making real money or gaining fame until about 5 or 6 years ago. So if we go by her timeline, everything before that, including her early teens, was supposed to be the struggling phase, the time when she and her family were supposedly barely getting by. Over time, people started digging into Anna's past. The internet doesn't forget, and fans, or maybe former fans, found old posts, photos, and bits of her life that told a very different story. So let's rewind a bit back to around 10 years ago when Anna had just landed a job and was supposedly struggling financially. If she really grew up poor like she says, you'd expect to see some signs of that, right? Let's start with this photo she posted. She's sitting in first class, clearly living her best life. The kind of photo that screams luxury. And just in case there was any doubt, the caption gave it all away. She proudly tagged #first class and even mentioned Dubai in the comments. That's where she was headed. I mean, I'm not making this up, she said it herself. So if you're flying first class to Dubai, it's hard to sell the broke girl story with a straight face. For someone who claimed her family was so broke they had to stretch $20 for an entire weekend, you wouldn't expect to see her cruising around in a comfortable, probably expensive car, would you? But there she was, and not just once. Around that same time, still in 2014, Anna was regularly posting photos of living what looked like a pretty sweet life. She was out and about, going to nice places, traveling, meeting people, sharing it all online like it was normal. Nothing about it screamed, I'm struggling, or I'm working double shifts at Woolworths just to get by. In March of 2014, Anna shared some exciting news with her followers. She had just gotten a brand new Michael Kors watch. She showed it off on her wrist, proud and glowing, and her small circle of fans at the time were genuinely happy for her. It was a big deal back then, and she made sure to let people know. But that wasn't the end of it. Just about a month later, she posted another Michael Kors watch. This time, her caption said, "Got another Michael Kors, 'cause why wouldn't I?" Let's not forget she was only 14 years old back then, already flying to Dubai and showing off expensive luxuries like watches. Some people tried to defend her, saying maybe she was just pulling pictures off the internet to get attention, like some teens do. But that theory didn't really hold up. Why? Because in post after post that followed, Anna was clearly wearing those same watches on her wrist in selfies in different outfits. It wasn't some fake flex. The proof was right there, and it told a very different story from the one she would later build her brand around. To be fair, Anna had hundreds, maybe even thousands of posts on Instagram over the past 13 years. She's been consistently active on the platform for that long. So it's not like anyone was just sitting around combing through her old posts for fun. In fact, most people probably wouldn't have bothered digging that deep if Michaela, her longtime friend and her brother's ex-girlfriend, hadn't spilled the tea. Michaela was the one who pulled back the curtain and let the world see a different side of Anna, and once she did, people started looking closer. Michaela didn't have as big of an audience as Anna, but things started shifting when she began making content with Anna and her brother. That connection helped boost her visibility in a big way. Now, Michaela's doing just fine on her own. She's built a solid following of around 1 million on Instagram and nearly 3 million on TikTok. She has her own fan base, her own style, and her own content spread across all her platforms, including her OnlyFans page, just like Anna. Michaela wasn't just some random girl on the internet. She was close to Anna, her brother, and their whole family, so naturally she knew things the rest of us didn't. When someone's that close, they get to see behind the scenes, the stuff that never makes it to Instagram or TikTok. So when Michaela finally decided to speak out, it was bad. In the video where she exposed Anna, she didn't hold back. She dropped some wild revelations, things no one saw coming. She spilled real, personal stuff that painted a completely different picture of the Anna people thought they knew.
There's a lot of things wrong with Anna Paul. It's way easier to hate me for calling her out when she's wrong than accepting that the Anna you guys love and idolize so much never existed. You don't know her. You don't know her like I know her. You have never met her, and if you have, it's nothing more than a 5-second selfie.
Michaela made it clear, the Anna that people see online isn't the full story. She said it straight, Anna is completely different behind the scenes. The bubbly, relatable girl online, that's just a version of her, a carefully crafted one, but Michaela owned up to it too. She admitted that she's also guilty of playing a role online, of putting on a persona that isn't always real. In her words, the whole thing is a charade, and they were both part of it. Michaela didn't hold back on telling Anna's fans how close she was to their idol.
These people that watch her don't know the Anna that I know. They know the other Anna, the one she wears when the camera starts rolling. I can't blame the parasocials because I too would do the same for someone that I looked up to, but my experience with Anna was a lot different to all of you.
One thing that really stood out while watching that video was how Michaela never looked directly at the camera. It almost felt like she was reading from something, maybe a script or a list of points she had prepared in advance. Whether it was her team or Michaela herself, someone clearly put a lot of thought into what she was going to say. This was calculated, well organized, and perfectly timed. Every word was intentional. It was clear the goal wasn't just to vent, it was to hit where it hurt and shake things up for Anna in a big way. And honestly, it did. The first thing Michaela touched on was the whole body positivity angle. Aside from Anna constantly pushing the narrative that she came from a poor background, she also dipped into the body positivity space. According to Michaela, it wasn't coming from a place of genuine support or love. It was all strategy. Anna saw an opportunity to gain sympathy and attention from plus-size women by pretending to relate to and uplift them, but behind the scenes, her so-called support was just another performance. Michaela claimed that Anna's involvement in the movement was fake, more about gaining followers than actually standing for the cause.
Right before these videos were trending in 2021 on the South Bank Bridge, when you were peak body positivity, love yourself version of Anna, a plus-size fan came up to you and asked for a hug and a picture. You smiled at her. You told her that you loved her. She told you how your words online have helped her be more comfortable in her body. The moment she walked away, you told Addis that she was annoying and gross and you didn't want to agree to the hug because she was fat and sweaty. Addis laughed.
Those are some heavy accusations. Just imagine being someone who looked up to Anna, someone who felt seen and supported by her message, only to watch that video and realize it might have all been fake. That kind of realization can be heartbreaking and disappointing. For so many women, especially those who struggle with body image, feeling like someone big online truly understands them means a lot. So finding out it was just for clout, it's unfair. Next, she went into how fake Anna is and how manipulative she was with what she does and says online.
Seeing your fakeness in the flesh was such a disturbing experience. Your fans mean nothing to you, just like the animals you buy and palm off to others. Watching you be praised online for being kind and caring, but behind the facade lived an evil person.
This is something you see a lot with celebrities and influencers. Once they start gaining some fame, or even while they're climbing up, they suddenly get a cute dog or cat. It's like part of the playbook. They know people love animals, and having a pet makes them seem more relatable and warm. It's an easy way to score emotional points with followers, but Anna's approach was a bit different, and not in a good way. While most influencers stick with one pet and build a bond that fans get to watch grow, Anna seemed to treat pets more like props. If the dog or cat wasn't pulling in the same amount of likes or attention anymore, she'd quietly swap it out for a new one. As we all know, Anna has built a massive following, and a big chunk of her audience is made up of young fans. She knows how to keep them excited and engaged, but sometimes it feels a little wrong. She's been known to subtly manipulate her followers by dangling the promise of cash prizes or giveaways, but only if they do certain things for her in return.
Anna is preying on the vulnerability and desperation of impressionable young fans for her profit under the disguise of self-love, empowerment, and giving back. Anna may give back to the odd few people, who she can post on her Instagram story for more promotion, but everyone else falls short.
So here's some more context about what was going on. Anna had a system, one that mainly targeted her younger followers. She would promise things like getting featured on her page or having their products promoted, but there was a catch. They had to stay active on her page in one way or another, or subscribe to her OnlyFans account. She does occasional cash giveaways, promising that lucky subscribers could win $500 or more. And naturally, a lot of fans jumped at the chance, hoping to be the next big winner. But here's where it gets shady. To even qualify for the prize, they had to pay for an OnlyFans subscription, which cost around $16 a month. So people, especially younger and more naive fans, would sign up thinking they had a real shot at winning. But most of them never saw the money. Instead, they were left with nothing but access to her explicit content, as if that was the consolation prize.
With the 7-hour difference in time steps between posting your initial promo story on Instagram to actually sending money, it's clear that in that time you allowed the subs to reel in, as this was just a plot for profit rather than a give-back situation as you disguise it as. Then posting further stories of screenshots sending few people $500 saying you know where to find me, incentivizing more to subscribe and fall for this in hopes to win.
Michaela went as far as saying what Anna was doing was actually illegal. According to her, Anna was manipulating her followers into subscribing to her OnlyFans by making them believe they had a real chance of winning money or getting featured. Michaela also pointed out that in Australia, if you're charging people an entry fee to take part in a prize draw, even if it's disguised as a giveaway, that's considered a lottery, and running a lottery without proper legal permission or licensing is against the law. So if Anna was using paid subscription as the entry ticket for her so-called giveaways, then she might have been breaking the law.
People that love Anna will come up with all sorts of attacks on me to try and defend her behavior, and that's okay with me. I don't blame them. People may start pointing at me because I'm on the platform too. While I understand, I also testify.
Now, to be fair, some people were quick to point out the obvious. It's kind of a case of the kettle calling the pot black. After all, Michaela is also on OnlyFans, and she's done her fair share of promotions to bring in subscribers. But Michaela was ready for that criticism. She admitted she uses the platform, but she insisted she doesn't manipulate or trick her audience the way Anna allegedly does. According to her, everything she offers is straightforward. No fake promises, no emotional baiting for personal gain. On the flip side, some of Anna's loyal fans weren't having it. They said that she's just bitter about no longer being with Addis, and that's why she's suddenly dragging Anna through the mud. Others went even further, accusing her of being obsessed with her family, like she just can't let go and move on like a normal person.
I broke up with him. It was my choice to never reconnect again. There was no contact from me to him during that entire time, despite his countless attempts to reach out to me.
Then came the real bombshell. This is the part of the video that shook everyone the most. Toward the end, Michaela dropped a heavy accusation. She claimed that her relationship with Addis was toxic and physically abusive. Michaela said that being with Addis took a huge emotional toll on her and that the relationship left her deeply hurt.
I've never spoken truth to the internet because it isn't pretty. Everything I say going forward is the truth and will hold up in a court of law. Addis Paul has physically abused me multiple times when I tried to leave him. He would hurt himself and threaten his life to scare me into not leaving after he would.
Michaela didn't stop there. She went on to say that Addis was using her to make money. According to her, he claimed to be her manager and decided that he deserved 50% of everything she earned. But from her side, he wasn't doing much managing at all. She described it as financial abuse, being pressured into giving up half her income to someone who wasn't actually helping build much.
After we broke up, he took jewelry from my room, hacked into my bets accounts, withdrew money, and then deleted the accounts, thinking I wouldn't notice. When I caught him, he sent it back and played a fool. Then crypto went missing from my accounts, which he set up for me. I accused him, but had no proof, as crypto is anonymous, so I legally had to backtrack while also being manipulated by him and Anna over the phone.
Toward the end of the video, Michaela opened up about how she personally felt about Anna's ongoing lies, especially the ones about growing up poor. She said it bothered her deeply because she knew it wasn't true and she had seen firsthand the kind of life Anna actually lived. What made it even more uncomfortable, Michaela said, was that Anna's dad wasn't on board with the lies either. According to her, he knows he worked hard to give his kids a stable, comfortable life, and watching Anna twist that into a sad, struggling story online didn't sit right with him.
In my opinion, it seems the Paul siblings have scamming running through their blood, and I'm not sure why, because they were raised with amazing parents that provided a lot for them. Their dad making triple the average Australian income per week had them living in a beautiful house on the water with a built-in pool. I've seen the house in person. It's beautiful. Being upper middle class is not being poor, Anna. Your exaggerated stories for the internet has always made your dad upset, and me, well, just angry. I was a real victim of the system and poverty like you portrayed yourself online. Remember that time when he called you out in the living room? He didn't understand why you would post such things, and he called them lies. But you need this story, faking your poverty, so people excuse your schemes and wealth and feel bad for you. Every calculated story serving such an important role in supporting the other lies. This web you're weaving to entrap these people's pity.
Michaela's video went viral. It grabbed attention from both critics and supporters, and it's currently sitting at around 30 million views on TikTok, with numbers still climbing. It wasn't just the usual followers tuning in. The video was seen by people who had no idea who Anna or Michaela were before this. It brought a whole new audience, some just watching for the drama, others digging into the history between the two. The video's sudden popularity threw both of them into the spotlight, but it was Anna who faced the most pressure, with the internet filled with rumors flying around. People were waiting for Anna to say something, but she stayed quiet for a while, which only made things worse. So when she finally decided to respond, the whole internet was watching, ready to hear her side of the story.
If I made a video addressing every time anyone said anything bad about me, I would be posting all day long every single day, as would every other content creator. That's what the whole For You page will be filled with.
Unfortunately for Anna, this wasn't just some random person on the internet throwing accusations her way. This was someone who had been very close to her, someone who knew her personally and had been around her family. That made the accusations different. Anna's tone and demeanor at the beginning of this response video didn't match the seriousness of the situation. She didn't seem to grasp just how heavy the claims were, or maybe she was trying to keep calm.
And the reason why I've taken so long to reply is not because I have a PR team and this and that and whatnot. I'm by myself. There's no script, there's nothing. I'm just talking to the camera.
After coming across a bit too casual at first, Anna eventually changed a bit, but not without throwing a subtle jab at Michaela. She pointed out that she didn't have any script or PR team helping her with her response, making it clear that everything she was about to say was coming from the heart. It was her way of saying, "I'm being real, not rehearsed." Some saw it as a dig at Michaela's well-prepared video, suggesting that Anna was taking the more authentic route. But whether that was a smart move or a risky one is still up in the air. Speaking from the heart can come off genuine, or it can leave you unprepared to handle serious allegations.
The reason why I've taken so long is because this all took me by surprise, and it was a very big shock to me because somebody that I thought was my friend and that I was close with really hurt me. And 2 months ago she was asking me to go to Fiji with her on a girls trip, and last year when my dad was apparently homeless and that was going everywhere crazy on TikTok, she was the one helping me through it, sending me voice messages telling me, "Don't listen to the people online, they're dumb, everyone is stupid, tell Papa it's going to be okay, I hope Papa's okay, don't tell him not to listen." She was helping me. So now this has all come as a very, very big shock and surprise because I thought we were friends.
Anna might be right about feeling blindsided by what Michaela did. Just weeks before everything blew up, things between them seemed fine, at least on the surface. Their so-called friendship still looked intact, and there was no tension. So yeah, it's fair to say Anna probably didn't see it coming, but at the same time, there's an argument to be made that if Michaela was going to reveal all of this, it's better that she did it now, after the friendship ended. If she had come out with all these claims while they were still close, people would have called it a betrayal, like airing dirty laundry while smiling to her face. So, Anna eventually began addressing the allegations one by one, starting with one of the more sensitive topics, the fat-shaming claim Michaela brought up.
I'm going to address the things regarding me. So the first thing I want to address is that apparently in 2021, a fan came up to me and we hugged. And after she walked away, I said, "Oh my God, she was so fat and sweaty." Now, I do not call my fans fat. That is not who I am. That is not what I stand for. That's not what I've ever stood for. But you guys know me, surely. That is not what I stand for. Sweaty, however, I may have called her sweaty because when somebody is wet and they touch you and then they leave, and when you're with your best friend and you are now wet because of them, you may say, I am now wet. Again, this was 4 years ago, but that may have happened. Thought we were friends.
Listening to Anna's response, you might think she did a decent job clearing the air on the fat-shaming allegation. She came across calm and composed, and for someone just catching up on the drama, it could seem convincing. But if you listen a little closer, especially with a more critical lens, there are some red flags in how she answered. The biggest issue is her selective certainty. Anna was absolutely sure she didn't call the fan fat, but when it came to the part where she may have called the fan sweaty, she suddenly wasn't so certain. She said she might have said it as if she wasn't fully sure, but also wanted to soften the blow just in case. It's subtle, but it's like she was trying to minimize the situation without directly owning it. And then she leaned on the fact that it all happened 4 years ago to justify her use of words like, but if it was so long ago that she can't fully remember calling someone sweaty, how can she be so sure she didn't say fat? Next, Anna tackled the whole broke lifestyle narrative, the part where she had claimed she grew up poor and struggled through her early years. And honestly, her response to this one made my head hurt.
The second one is that I lie about growing up broke. Now, I do not lie about the fact that I grew up broke. When I say I grew up broke, that is my experience. That is how I felt.
Seriously, what is she even saying? That explanation made zero sense. For years, Anna has been telling her followers that she was broke. Not broke in her feelings, but actually struggling, like can't afford anything broke. We're talking about the same person who once claimed her whole family had to survive on $20 for an entire weekend. That's not a feeling, that's painting a picture of actual real-life financial hardship. So now she's suddenly saying, well, maybe I just felt broke even though we weren't poor. By that logic, Elon Musk could walk around saying he feels broke even with billions in the bank. It's a stupid excuse to cover up the fact that she got caught lying.
How I felt when I can hear my parents talking in the kitchen that the budget for the groceries that week is $30. It makes me feel broke. When we can't afford school uniforms, it makes me feel broke. When I'm 11, when I'm 10, and all my friends can afford something and my parents can't, it makes me feel broke. When they say, oh, I don't know how we're going to afford rent next week, that makes me scared and makes me feel broke. That does not mean that I was the most broke person on earth. There are definitely people in way worse situations than me, but that does not mean that I'm lying about the fact that I felt broke during those times.
Isn't that just convenient? Now it's not about the reality, it's all about feelings. Anna knew her parents were doing well. They were comfortably above middle class, nowhere near the lower class or anything that could be described as poor. But somehow she still managed to build an entire brand around the idea of growing up broke, and not because she actually was, but because occasionally her parents couldn't buy her something right away, or might have had to wait to pay a bill. That's not poverty, that's just life. Most people go through those moments, but they don't go online and build a whole community around being underprivileged to gain sympathy and followers. So now that she's been called out, she's backtracking, shifting the story from we were poor to I felt poor. Next, Anna tried to tackle the growing speculation and the actual receipts that started piling up once people began questioning her so-called poor background. We've gone through some of them earlier in this video: the first-class flights, the luxury Michael Kors watches, the designer clothes, and the vacations she flaunted on Instagram nearly a decade ago.
And of course, because the internet is going crazy, they are pulling up photos of this was Anna's childhood home, showing photos that I grew up in when I was already an adult that I couldn't even imagine even going into when I was like 7 years old. Or this was Anna's first car, not my first car, not my childhood car. I didn't even have social media when I was like 7. Like, Instagram didn't even exist back then. It was like 2006, 2007. Those photos wouldn't even be on the internet.
The gaslighting and the fake clueless attitude was honestly just exhausting at this point. No one's out here digging up photos of Anna where she was only 7 years old, playing in the backyard. The images people are talking about, the ones that completely contradict her I was poor narrative, are her own posts. One she willingly shared during her early teen years, right in the middle of the exact period she now claims was her time of struggle. Anna also tried to clear up the infamous Instagram post where she was seen flying first class during the same broke phase she often talks about. According to her, it wasn't what it looked like. She explained that they weren't rich enough to afford the flight themselves and that the tickets were booked by their extended family in Germany. Basically, she wanted people to know it wasn't their money that paid for the luxury. Anna went on to say that the photo was taken in first class because her brother threw up all over their original seats in economy class. She claimed the mess was so bad that a flight attendant offered to move them to the first class section for the last part of the flight. And that's how she ended up there long enough to snap the picture. Convenient, right?
And of course they posted on Instagram. I'm 12 and that's cool. And now people are using that like, liar. No, social media is fake and it can all be...
Social media is fake. That's what Anna said while trying to convince people that what Michaela said about her being fake wasn't true. The irony is unreal. By saying that, Anna pretty much admitted everything Michaela claimed, that the body positivity stuff was just for show, that her support for young people was more about image than impact, and that the love she constantly expresses for her fans, also fake. Whether she meant to or not, Anna basically confirmed that her entire online presence is a performance, and not just little exaggerations here and there. If she's telling people not to take what she posts seriously, then what are we even left with? Just another influencer building a brand off carefully created lies.
And I have before. Oh, another one is I'm wearing like a Gucci watch. My dad's job growing up was buying and selling antiques. So he would constantly go to garage sales and markets and stuff like that, and then sell them on eBay afterwards. So there's a photo of a watch that he bought at a garage sale for $2, and it's a Gucci watch. And I posted that. Papa, can I post on Instagram? Of course I'm posting that. That's cool and that's a flex, but that is not real. You cannot determine things from photos. It is crazy, and that is just... Those are just a couple of examples, but...
First off, let's clear something up. It wasn't a Gucci watch like she said. It was a Michael Kors watch. Still a luxury item, especially for someone claiming to be broke at the time. Second, Anna said the watch wasn't even hers, that it was her dad's. But I've lost count of how many Instagram posts during that time she's made wearing that same watch. If it was really for her dad, she must have either borrowed it a lot, or maybe it wasn't his to start with. Who knows? Maybe she only wore it when he wasn't around. Maybe, maybe not. But just so you can remind yourself of the exact kind of things Anna used to say, here's a short compilation of her past statements about being broke. These are the clips where she built her struggling girl image, the same image that's now being questioned. Watch closely.
I know what it's like to grow up with no money on Christmas. You know, my parents spent their last $20 on prawns so that we could have like a nice meal. My brother and I, we used to wrap plastic bottles, like orange juice bottles, and put them under the tree so it looks like we have a lot of presents like other families. So I know what it's like. So I want to...
I just, like, literally, I thought I was going to end up on the street. I'm not even joking.
It's weird too because I grew up extremely broke, and when I say extremely broke, I mean my parents were like, bro, we're gonna be homeless. And we're like, what do you mean? What are you talking about?
It seems like Anna wasn't feeling broke when she made those videos.
You might think it's funny to set up your phone and think, oh, what's trending right now? I know. I'll say I met Anna Paul once and say something bad. That'll get views. Your views aren't worth someone's life, I'm telling you. Or setting up the camera and laughing with all your friends about what my body looks like and then posting it. That is not worth the views. Someone's life are not worth those views.
Well, look who's suddenly preaching about lies and attention-seeking behavior. Isn't this the same Anna who admitted that most of what people see online about her is fake? The same Anna who's been posting carefully created lies just to rack up views? The same one who literally confessed to fabricating the first-class story, the one she used to push her broke girl turned boss narrative just for views? She knows exactly what flaunting a lifestyle like that can do. It puts pressure on her followers, especially the younger ones who start thinking they're failing because they don't have what she pretended to have. And now she's turning around telling people not to talk about her because it's not worth the views. Really? Lying, manipulating, and controlling how people see her is exactly what built her platform. So if she's finally tired of the spotlight, maybe it's because the truth is finally catching up. I mean, this won't be a good response video without a cry at the end of it. Anna didn't disappoint.
DMs have kept me through this and kept me going. They are so incredibly sweet. But what I can't imagine is going through something like this alone. There are children that go through this kind of stuff, this kind of bullying alone. And for that, I cannot even imagine how they even survived that, to be honest. And because of that, I'm going to leave a number down below. If you're alone and you ever need someone to talk to or need something, please call that number and do not hesitate, because it can happen to anyone. So I'm just sending my love out there to anyone that has gone through this, or people that will go through this, or parents of children who, everything.
Don't you find it just a little too convenient, maybe even calculated, that the tears started right when she began talking about how hurt she feels and how grateful she is for the support she's getting? The timing couldn't be more perfect. It's the classic influencer move, get emotional when the heat is on and towards the end of the video, so people shift from questioning you to feeling sorry for you. And then came the next play, claiming she wants to be there for others who are in the same shoes. Another manipulative tactic. She's trying to position herself as the victim, as someone being unfairly crucified by the world, while painting her loyal fans as the only people who truly understand her. It's a way of guilt-tripping anyone who dares to criticize her, while making her defenders feel like heroes for sticking by her. This entire drama kicked off on January 28, 2025, when Michaela posted her first video, which we broke down earlier in this video. In that video, she laid out all the major allegations against Anna, from the lies about her upbringing to the manipulation of her followers. Anna's response video didn't come until about a week later on February 3rd, and by that point the pressure was intense and people were waiting with high expectations. Michaela wasn't buying Anna's response. After watching Anna's response, she came back with more videos reacting to Anna's statements, pointing out inconsistencies and continuing to call her out on everything she felt was dishonest. One thing that stood out in Anna's response video was what she didn't say specifically. She completely ignored the allegation about her using pets for attention. Michaela had brought it up earlier, accusing Anna of only getting pets to boost her image online, then replacing them when the attention faded. But Anna didn't even mention it in her video. No denial, no explanation, nothing. And that silence didn't go unnoticed. Michaela saw it. She quickly came back with another video, calling Anna out and doubling down, with even more claims to back up what she originally said.
I just can't wait another minute to say it because it's genuinely concerning me, considering the fact that she's just bought a new bird. And I'm talking about Anna Paul here. Anna would constantly buy new birds, and I mean a new bird almost every 6 months or so. She even had 5 birds at one point. This woman does not care for her birds. Unless they're in a TikTok video, they sit in a cage. I witnessed this for many years. These birds would sit in a cage with a window shut. Really disgusting, would never come out of the cages, only for content or maybe once or 2 a month. And when she bought cats, she never went in the room.
One of the most upsetting parts of this whole situation is the idea that someone could be using pets as a tool. It's one thing to collect exotic animals and keep them caged up like some kind of personal zoo. Not ideal, but at least there's no illusion of affection. But when you choose pets like birds and cats, animals that crave freedom, care, and human connection, and then treat them like accessories, that is wrong. They're living beings that rely on us for love and attention.
These birds would sit in a cage with a window shut. Really disgusting, would never come out of the cages, only for content or maybe once or 2 a month. And when she bought cats, she never went in the room. I would go in there and entertain the birds because it would be so sad. They would be singing and crying and begging for attention and affection. Quaker parrots, everybody knows Quaker parrots need attention. This was Quakesy. When she bought those hairless cats, I would hear her say, I can't wait for these birds to die.
Michaela later decided it was time to go deeper. She released a longer, more detailed video breaking down everything that happened between them. This time she took it to her YouTube channel, where she posted the full story on her podcast series called The Unsaid Podcast.
In this video, I do want to put a trigger warning for domestic abuse, rape, blood, just, you know, anything that could possibly trigger anyone. I want you to proceed to watch this video with caution, and I want you guys to understand that every piece of material in this video is completely authentic.
At the beginning of the podcast episode, Michaela gave a clear disclaimer. She warned that things were going to get bad and that what she was about to share wouldn't be easy to hear. She wanted listeners to know up front that it was going to be raw and unfiltered. Then she said that despite the serious claims she had made in her earlier viral video, Anna Paul hadn't taken any legal action against her. No defamation lawsuit, no cease and desist, nothing. Michaela emphasized this to show that everything she was saying was her truth, and that if Anna truly believed she was lying, legal steps would have been taken by now. Michaela wanted to clarify and provide proof of Anna's manipulation of her young followers. She shared some screenshots that gave a little bit of validity to the situation. One of the things Michaela pointed out in the podcast was a specific Instagram post Anna made. In the post, Anna praised her followers, saying how amazing they were and how much she appreciated their love and support. She followed it up with this: "So I'm sending $100 to the people who have supported me on OnlyFans until I get home." Now, it might seem like a kind gesture, but if you really look at it, especially through the eyes of a young fan, it's a setup that can easily mislead. To someone who's impressionable, this sounds like, if I pay $16 to subscribe, I might get $100 back for doing pretty much nothing. Anna made it seem like she'd be sending out $100 throughout her 2-day road trip, which could easily make young followers believe their chances of winning were high. But in reality, most of them didn't get anything except access to her OnlyFans, so what looked like a giveaway was actually a way to drive up her subscription and engagement.
As I said, she has young followers, extremely young, and I don't have young followers like her. Almost 95% are all over the age of 18 for me, but we know her fans are so significantly young. We see them at the meet and greets. They are adolescents, like primary school children, as well as older people, yes, but primarily young people. Look at all these videos. This girl's fans are crazy. They are very, very young, and like, this is a child. This is all on the public stuff, by the way. Like, this, you can find this on these TikTok channels. More children, just such young girls that are probably very vulnerable.
After laying everything out about Anna, Michaela turned her focus to Addis, her ex, and this time she made sure to paint a very clear picture of the kind of person she says he truly is.
And what has always made me so angry was the fact that Atis is a convicted rapist. And when I say convicted, here are the court records for Johannes Paul. It says right here, I paid $50 for this. Australian justice system is quite horrendous in my opinion. They've failed me multiple times. In my life, I wouldn't bother going to the police for a crime because I have been nothing but let down, and I'd rather see fit by putting this piece of shit on blast and telling the world he's a convicted rapist than having it behind a $50 paywall so that more victims, like the girls after me, unknowingly still have sexual relations with a convicted person.
Now, to be fair, balanced, and not unreasonable, when something as serious as an R allegation is made, it absolutely must be taken seriously. Ignoring or dismissing such a claim would be careless. So I do commend Michaela for at least attempting to back up what she was saying by sharing screenshots that she claimed showed Addis had been convicted. But the screenshot she shared didn't actually say he was found guilty of the R allegation, at least not clearly, and maybe I'm just not fully familiar with how Australian legal documents are written, but from what I could see, there was nothing in that screenshot that directly stated he was found guilty of that specific crime. Now, don't get me wrong, Addis may very well have been a terrible boyfriend, emotionally or physically abusive, manipulative, or just annoyingly toxic, but accusing someone of something as serious as R is dangerous, especially if the person is walking free and hasn't been legally held accountable for such a crime. If he were guilty of that, I doubt the Australian legal system would just let him walk around freely. So unless more substantial and verified information comes to light, it's best not to label him with that kind of crime. The emotional abuse or manipulation allegations, maybe, but the R allegation, not without something concrete.
Meet and greets together. He's signing fans' heads, his name. It's just sick, Anna. It's just sick.
For more context on the matter, someone on Reddit made a clarifying post on the matter, and it made sense. The person claimed to be a former criminal defense lawyer in Australia. According to him, Addis was around 16 or 17 at the time of the alleged incident, and the charge involved was carnal knowledge with a child under 16. The person explained that there's usually a delay between when something happens and when the victim reports it, which often makes the police case take longer to pull together. They also said that despite Addis being under 18 when it happened, he was sentenced as an adult. His sentence was 12 months of good behavior with a $1,500 bond, which he'd have to pay if he broke the conditions, plus $1,500 paid directly to the victim as compensation. He also mentioned that the case had to move to the district court because it was an indictable offense, and Addis may have originally wanted a jury trial, but later changed his mind and let a judge handle the sentencing instead. Unfortunately for Anna, things really weren't going her way at this point. More and more people started coming out with stories, and it started to look like Anna had built up a pretty bad rep, not just with random followers, but with other influencers and even people she had worked with or been friends with in the past. One of the standout moments was when Michaela played a clip on the podcast. It was from an ex-friend of Anna. The video added even more weight to the claims already out there.
So I'm just going to play a video that Bailey had posted on her social media when this all came to be.
I feel like the only people that can take down Anna Paul for the evil, lying, narcissistic, manipulative that she is are people that actually knew her, which are me, Chloe, Chantel, Michaela, and Lilith. I'm gonna post some screenshots for you guys.
So she does. She posts a lot of screenshots, a lot of receipts. As I said, I've been friends with this girl since I was about 13 years old, 12 I think, 12 years old, and I'm 25 now. I don't know how long that is, you guys do the math. But she was friends with Anna for a long time as well, so you know she's got those receipts.
Michaela then took things a step further by diving into how it all started between her and Addis. She shared personal details about the early stages of their relationship, explaining how aggressive, persuasive, and persistent Addis was when it came to having her around. He was the one constantly chasing, constantly pushing to be in her space. It seems that Michaela was trying to set the record straight, especially since a lot of people had been accusing her of being the one obsessed with Addis. This part of the podcast was her saying, no, actually, it was the other way around. And with the way she told it, backed by her calm tone and added receipts, she wanted people to see that she wasn't making it up for drama.
So yeah, like that weekend that I met them and the plan that, you know, Atis and I had to spend together, it was just a lot of like love bombing, a lot of urgency to kind of like get me to come and live at his house and like be sisters with his sister and be part of his family and hang out. It was just like very, very, very coercive, and my alarm bells were going off. My little alarm bells were saying, please, Michaela, like, please don't go to this man's house. And fucking hell, like, I could have saved myself all the shit if I had have just turned.
Michaela kept building on the story, giving more details about how everything started with Addis. She explained how he was super pushy from the beginning, constantly pressuring her to come be with him. It was the kind of persistence that made it clear he wasn't taking no for an answer easily. To back it up, she even played a video clip of Addis's reaction when she told him she wouldn't be able to come over again.
This is what he sent me.
Bring all your stuff. Even if you hated it and you start hating me and you don't want me, stay for 2 days and then just leave. You're not tied down here. I'm not holding you hostage. Just come see me a little bit. And if you hate it, you can leave. If you love it, you can stay. You're welcome either way.
Michaela revealed that while they were together, she was living with him, and not just as a girlfriend, but under the control of someone who claimed to be her manager. According to her, Addis was taking 50% of her income. Eventually, Michaela reached her breaking point. She decided to leave him and move out of the house. But according to her, Addis didn't take that well. In her words, he did unimaginable things to stop her from leaving.
And when I tell you, I've never seen a human being so manically scared of me to leave. It was almost like something in his brain just switched. He was just he had a lot of urgency. He had a lot of anger, a lot of, like, just looking into his eyes, it was so scary. I didn't know what he could do to me. I felt very, very, very scared. So when I had said I'm leaving and I got up and I started to pack my bag, he grabbed me by my arms, me all into doors, yelling in my face, don't leave me, with the such, he was obviously crying. He was obviously saying he's going to kill himself. He's like, wait, it was just all over the shop. It was just like the world was a blur. It was a spin. It all happened so quick. It was just so scary. And I just remember being in that moment so afraid, because this was a side of Atis that I did not ever see. And this was very, very early into the relationship. I knew in the moment when he had already put his hands on me that I was leaving and not going to come back to this damn house. But it was when he went to his bedside table and got a knife out, it was not some BS knife. This was like one of those knives that those teenage boys have that's like for fishing, like an insane one that's like big, like this. Sorry, this mic. Like this big. And I remember the handle. It was just very fucking like scary to fucking see this man with his eyes looking so weird and manic and like this urgency. Like when he picked that knife up, I thought he's gonna hurt me.
Now, with everything going on, I'm sure a lot of people were wondering the same thing. Where was Anna during all this? After all, it was their house and they were all living together at the time. So how could something that serious go down without her stepping in? Well, Michaela revealed that right after the encounter with Addis, she went straight to Anna. She was upset, shaken, and probably looking for support. But according to Michaela, Anna didn't make things better.
Anna and everyone was there. So then I went out there. I was trying to talk to them. Anna was just trying to manipulate me to not leave, not call the police, not get in the Uber, to talk, and we can all talk and we can all sort it out. Whatever. So obviously I'm like, no, I'm thinking, no, I need my phone. I need to get out of here, because I cannot sleep in a bed with this freak, this guy that just held to his throat, chased me around with it, beat me, pushed me into walls, bedside tables, and is screaming in my face that he's going to kill himself and he's going to jump in the canal, and he was himself in the head too. Like, I was like, holy, I never experienced something like that. And it reminded me of childhood when I'd be getting beaten by my stepfather. I just didn't like it.
This shows the kind of position Anna chose to take. Even though she knew something was seriously wrong, she didn't step in with a mature, neutral, or fair approach. Instead of trying to resolve things in a balanced way, she leaned into what her brother wanted, which was for Michaela to stay and keep things quiet. That's disappointing and manipulative. It's unfair. At a time when Michaela needed support and space, Anna could have at least told her to step away for a bit, just to cool off while she had a real conversation with Addis, to help him see his fault in everything. But instead, she chose to keep the peace for her brother, and this led to a more dangerous situation.
He grabs and he slits his wrist in front of my face. And he's like, please stay, I'll kill myself. He slits his wrist in front of my face. And I'm like, holy shit, I cannot believe that I'm witnessing this. We just went from laying in bed to me telling him that I'm sick of his lies because he had lied to me about something. And that there were so many red flags, and I didn't like the OF money being taken and all this, and I wanted to lower the percentage and yada yada, to now him abusing me, threatening to kill himself with a knife, physically self-harming himself, and just being completely erratic.
The allegations just went on and on and on. Michaela made hours worth of content, carefully breaking everything down point by point. It was a full-blown expose, and if we were to include every single detail she shared, this video would turn into a lifelong documentary. So with everything we've covered so far, this feels like the perfect point to shift gears and take a look at Anna's response to the podcast. After everything that's come out, how did she react?
Hi everyone, I know that a lot of people have been waiting for me to make a response to Michaela's video, and before I get into that, before I do that, I want to address something very serious, and that is that a couple of years ago, I made a huge mistake by being in a YouTube video where I talk about a relationship that I wasn't even in. I should have never done that. I should have never ever done that, and I apologize for that. I should have never been in that video. I believe that at the end of the day, only the two people who are in a relationship truly know what goes on in that relationship. I have no right to sit down and talk about a relationship that I wasn't even in. And at the time, I thought I was doing the right thing by defending my family, but I wasn't. It's not the right thing to do whatsoever. And even now, when I watch those clips back, it's like, I can tell how immature I was. I should have been stronger in saying no to even being in that video. I should not have been in that video at all.
Anna started her response with an apology, and honestly, that was unexpected. Given her history of brushing things off, gaslighting, and twisting facts to her advantage, this felt like a surprising shift. For the first time, it seemed like she was beginning to realize just how serious the situation had become. In her previous response videos, she was all smiles, lighthearted, almost too casual, as if none of it mattered. But this time her tone was different. There was less unseriousness and more acknowledgement. She specifically apologized for interfering in their relationship, which is a pretty big deal. It's not a full turnaround just yet, but it's a good start.
Because of that, in this video, I will not at all be addressing Atis and Michaela's part of the relationship. Atis has done that on his Instagram today. That is his story to tell, not mine whatsoever. I'm only going to be talking about myself.
This part of Anna's response was refreshing. One of the main things people have constantly complained about is how she's always acting as the mouthpiece for her brother. Anytime there's drama involving Addis, it's usually Anna doing the explaining, the defending, or the covering up. So for once, it was good to see her take a step back and acknowledge that maybe he should be the one addressing the allegations himself. It's not her responsibility to answer for him, especially when the issues are this serious.
Michaela had been promoting her podcast for weeks and weeks and weeks, and not once did I try to stop it.
One thing that stood out in Anna's response was her choice of words, specifically the phrase, promoting her podcast. At first it might seem harmless, but that wording felt very intentional. By using the word promoting, Anna was trying to paint a picture of Michaela as someone who's aggressively pushing her podcast for attention, fame, or clout. Is that what Michaela is doing? I don't know for sure.
Try to stop it. I didn't try to stop it with a cease and desist or any type of legal letter, nothing at all. Because I believe when a woman has a story to tell, she should be able to come online and freely tell that story. So that's why I didn't do that. And another thing I want to say, since we're speaking at legal things, is that some people are saying because I didn't get her with a defamation case after her podcast was posted, that what she's saying must be the truth and she must be telling the truth, but that is not the case at all. In reality, a defamation case takes 3 to 4 years. It takes such a long time, and it costs $500,000 to $1 million. It's very expensive. It takes such a long time. And if I went down that route, I wouldn't be able to do this. I wouldn't be able to set up my camera like this and just freely tell you the truth like this. This would take 4 years to be able to do this. So I didn't want to go down that route.
Fair enough. One thing Anna did right was acknowledging that Michaela had the right to speak her truth. That's important. A lot of women who go through the kind of emotional or physical abuse Michaela described often stay silent out of fear of ridicule, judgment, or just not being believed. So if Michaela can be open about what she went through and be allowed the space to say it, then maybe more people will feel confident enough to share their own stories too, and not let the pain quietly eat them up from within. But on the flip side, there's also the matter of accountability. When someone feels they've been slandered or libeled, especially on such a public scale, they usually take legal action, and not necessarily because they want to win money, but because their name and integrity matter. That's why it still feels a bit suspicious that Anna chose to respond only through videos instead of taking any formal action. Yes, legal battles are expensive and draining. That part's understandable, but if Michaela's claims were truly false, it would make sense for Anna or even Addis to push back legally. The fact that they haven't could mean one of two things. Either they're avoiding the public mess that this will bring to Addis with the whole abuse thing, or maybe there's more truth to what Michaela said than they're willing to admit.
Michaela made a big mistake thinking that I'm going to stay silent like I always do, because she knows that when people lie about me online, I don't say anything, I don't make a video, like I just stay silent. And she made a huge mistake in thinking I'll do that again. She took my silence and my kindness for weakness in the situation, and I will not be staying silent this time.
First off, Anna was wrong to assume that Michaela thought she'd stay silent after the podcast dropped. Michaela expected a response. Anna had already responded to the first video weeks ago, so it was only natural to expect a follow-up after the kind of heavy things Michaela revealed on the podcast. Anna then went on to claim that throughout all of Michaela's podcast episodes, no concrete proof put her, Anna, in a bad light. She said it was all just stories, personal accounts, and emotional experiences, but nothing that could directly prove any wrongdoing on her part. Sure, her brother might have been hit with some serious accusations and a few receipts, but when it came to Anna herself, Michaela mostly shared stories. That was Anna's way of saying, you might not like how I handled things, but you've got nothing solid on me.
I today, however, have come with actual receipts, so let's get into it. First, let me clarify a timeline. I haven't seen this girl in 3 years. She asked to hang out with me 4 months ago. Even though now I've always been this very bad person, 4 months ago, She wanted to hang out with me. She asked me to come to her house. She asked me to make Snapchat content with her, which makes her money because she only wants to hang out with you if she can get something from you. And of course, I politely declined because I do not want to hang out with this person. I know what kind of person she is, and I do not want her in my life whatsoever. So I declined. And then she asked me to go on a trip to Fiji with her, which again would have been for Snapchat content, would have been for money. And I also didn't go to that, obviously. Now, 4 months later, apparently I'm a very bad person.
This part doesn't look great for Michaela. Yes, Anna has made a lot of mistakes. She's been called out for being a terrible friend and enabling toxic behavior. But at the same time, Michaela isn't a perfect victim either. And the truth is, there are no perfect victims, but seeing how Michaela was trying to connect with Anna just 4 months before all of this blew up, it does raise some questions. What changed so quickly? Was it that Anna distanced herself after Michaela broke things off with Addis and accused him of being abusive? Is it possible Anna didn't want to deal with the fallout or bruise her brother's ego, so she quietly stepped back instead of choosing a side? And on Michaela's end, could it be that she felt betrayed and abandoned, not just emotionally but also professionally, especially if her viewership was dipping? Some people are now starting to wonder if it was really about exposing the truth, or was it also about pulling Anna down to lift herself back up? These are the kinds of questions going around, especially after seeing old screenshots that show them being friendly not that long ago.
Family is so annoyed at me because I just bought all these dogs. This is how old I was when we got my first dog, Angel. I was 8. And when we got my second dog, I was 12. I was not buying all these dogs when I was 8 and 12. And my other dog, Baby, we got when I was 17, and she still lives with my dad to this day. Angel and Ninja both passed away from old age a couple of years ago, but Baby is still loving life. You can see her on my dad's Instagram, she's loving it, she's happy. So I'm not just buying all these dogs, that's ridiculous. Next is that all my birds are dead, and that I clip their wings and that I abuse them and all these things. So that is obviously not the case. I actually have photos. You can see in all these photos that I've never clipped my bird's wings, which I don't know why she would say that, because you can prove right here in photos they've never had clip wings, and I actually know exactly where all my birds are.
First of all, just because Anna had her first dog when she was little doesn't automatically clear her of the allegations of using animals for content without showing them real care. Owning a pet as a child isn't a free pass, especially when the accusations are about ongoing behavior, not childhood memories. And when it comes to the birds, let's clear that up too. Michaela's main focus wasn't on whether the birds were dead or alive. The real issue Michaela raised wasn't even about their wings being clipped. It was about neglect. Her main point was that Anna didn't take proper care of the birds and had a habit of replacing them almost instinctively, like they were disposable. No remorse, no accountability, just on to the next one once the attention faded.
I had Quakesy, and he passed away last year, and he was my treasure, and I had him for the majority of my life. Then I had 3 other birds. Now these birds hated each other. They didn't get along. Every time I had them out together, they would just attack each other, and it was a constant struggle trying to keep them from biting each other. So I thought, for them to have the best life possible, I'll rehome them. I'll rehome them so they don't have to constantly be attacked by another bird, getting bitten left and right? So I'll put up screenshots. My dad helped me rehome them, and here you can see the dates, you can see everything. This is me rehoming my birds, and I care so much about where they went. It was such a big deal to me that they go to a loving home and that they're rehomed properly. That, for example, in one of the screenshots you'll see that somebody from a different state wanted to buy one of the birds, and I refused to sell to him because there is no way I'm putting my bird on a plane and putting him at risk of getting traumatized or scared or anything like that. I wanted them to have the most smooth transition into their new home, so I refused to sell.
Now let's talk about the bird Anna said passed away last year. Could it have died from neglect or lack of care? Maybe, we can't say for sure. It's entirely possible it died of natural causes. Here's where I really have a problem with what Anna said. At first, I honestly thought she was about to say the birds fought to the death like some kind of gladiator match. But instead, she said that the birds always fight each other and that her solution was to rehome them. Really? If she truly loved and cared for those birds, the logical step would have been to separate their cages, give them their own space, and avoid conflict. But her go-to solution was just to get rid of them. That doesn't sound like love, that sounds like someone who's annoyed their content props aren't behaving as expected. To be honest, I seriously believe she made up that explanation on the spot. It sounds like something you'd say when there's no good defense left, just a story to cover tracks and hope people stop asking questions.
I think that this whole animal thing is just one huge projection from Michaela. Because the second her cat was a minor inconvenience to her, she had her assistant drive her cat to the closest shelter and dump him. Where is your cat, Michaela? Where was he rehomed to? You don't know because you don't care.
Address the claim about Michaela's cat. First of all, there's no solid proof that Michaela dumped her cat or had it rehomed. The image Anna posted could have easily been a random cat. There's nothing concrete tying it to Michaela. And even if Michaela did rehome her cat, does that somehow make it okay for Anna to do the same? No, it doesn't. One person's questionable action doesn't justify someone else's pattern of bad behavior. Let's not forget this was, at worst, a one-time thing for Michaela, if it even happened. But for Anna, this is a repeated habit. She's swapped out pets multiple times, like they're accessories and not living. So trying to flip the blame on Michaela to defend her own choices, that's just weak.
She's so concerned about all my underage fans. Okay, now she didn't show a receipt, but I will. Here are my analytics. You can see that 93.8% of my followers are over the age of 18, which means majority of my following are adults, okay?
Let's take it from the top and really break this down. Looking at Anna's analytics, assuming those are the actual numbers, she claims that around 93% of her followers are over 18, which technically makes them legal adults capable of making their own decisions without parental supervision. Fair enough, but here's the part she conveniently left out. The majority of her audience falls between 18 and 24, and more than half are under 24 years old. Yes, they're legally adults, but we also know that neurologically the brain doesn't fully develop until around age 25. The frontal lobe, which controls decision-making, impulse control, and reasoning, is still maturing during those years. So when someone like Anna, with a massive platform and likely a whole PR machine behind her, pushes offers, promotions, or emotional hooks like cash giveaways, it's not hard to see how easily she could influence younger followers to do things that don't benefit them, but benefit her. Legally, adult or not, they're still vulnerable to manipulation, and Anna knows exactly how to play into that.
And I just find it very interesting that while all this drama is going on that she kicked off about her being concerned about my fans and they're all underage and she's so worried, what does she post on her Instagram while all eyes are on her? While her views would be higher than ever, of actual children wanting to know, ooh, what's the tea? What's Michaela going to say about Anna? What does she do? She posts slide after slide after slide on her Instagram story of a link to her other page where you can buy videos of her and her partner having sexual intercourse. That's how concerned she is. Because I am so...
At the end of the day, no matter what either of them, Anna or Michaela says, the truth is that they're both in the same line of work. The ethical concerns that people are raising about Anna don't just stop with her. They can easily reflect on Michaela too, because both of them post explicit content on their platforms. And let's not forget a major factor, a lot of young people lie about their age online. It's no secret. Teenagers today are smart enough to know that if they use their real age, they'll be restricted from accessing certain content. So even if Anna's or Michaela's analytics say their followers are 18 plus, there's a strong chance that a large portion are underage, just posing as adults. That's what makes Anna's analytics look so questionable. With about 57% of her audience under 24 and more than 45% between 18 and 24, it's not far-fetched to think some of those adults aren't adults at all. And while Michaela is busy dragging Anna, she probably knew the exposure would bring in traffic. It wouldn't be surprising if she continued posting her usual content in between, hoping to gain a few extra subscribers from the attention and traction her name is getting. Towards the end of the video, Anna went after Michaela.
Wrap this up, I'm going to give you a recap of the type of person that people have been so quick to support. Girls wanted to know, how did you get your abs? What does she say? Just do sit-ups. That's what she said. When in reality, she had a metal rod put into her stomach and they had abs carved out of her fat. That's what happened. But she told the girls online, just do sit-ups.
This right here is one of the biggest problems we face in today's society, especially for young people online. There's so much pressure to look a certain way, live a certain lifestyle, or keep up with influencers who constantly flaunt their wealth, show off their bodies, or post things that seem impossible to reach. What a lot of these young followers don't realize is that much of what they see is built on things that were gained in the most unconventional and sometimes harmful ways. Take Michaela, for example. She's gone through certain cosmetic procedures, but then talks publicly about things like sit-ups or working out as if that's what got her the results. Now, to her credit, promoting fitness might actually inspire her fans to hit the gym, eat healthier, and take better care of themselves, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, hiding the reality of her surgeries can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it prevents teens from growing up thinking they need to spend thousands on risky procedures to look a certain way. On the other hand, it creates a false standard that people believe they can reach naturally when in reality, that might not be possible.
Then she dated the Kid Leroy when he was underage, and then years later went to his concert, filmed herself crying at his concert, and then made that a whole content situation. While we're talking about underage boys, she sent photos of herself to 14-year-old boys in a group chat when she was 19 years old. And to make it worse, she stayed in contact with these boys until they were overage. This is not a nice person. Not a lot of people have spent time with the actual Michaela. She is not a nice person. Be so careful supporting this girl so quickly. You don't know her.
First of all, if what's being said is true, it's wrong on every level for Michaela to have done this. If she were 19 and knowingly engaged in anything intimate or even suggestive with a 14-year-old, that would cross a major ethical and legal line. It could become a serious legal issue if that boy ever comes forward and decides to speak out or pursue justice, especially if he feels manipulated or taken advantage of. Now, of course, this hasn't been confirmed yet, and we all know how social media influencers sometimes cause trouble or controversy purely for attention and clicks. It's entirely possible that Michaela did something questionable just for the outrage and engagement it would bring. But until there's clear evidence, that's still speculation. However, the screenshots floating around don't help her case. Michaela herself allegedly said she saw 14 years old in the boy's bio, meaning she knew he was underage, and despite that, she reportedly continued to keep in contact with him and others in the group over the years.
My goal is to make sure she doesn't post a thing. Because remember how I told you she would always copy me, she would always steal my stories, steal my personality, everything, the car idea, all of that. She stole it from me. I'm supposed to be the one with 7 million followers. I'm going to be vlogging after this, and everyone's going to need someone to watch because everyone's addicted to watching her, that they're going to watch me. And I'm going to live that life that I should have had. And this doesn't come from jealousy. This just comes from a siphoning energy.
This is where things start to feel even more serious. The whole situation was beginning to look less like a call for accountability and more like a personal mission from Michaela to bring Anna down, even if some of what she said about her was actually true. The intention behind it all started to come into question, but of course, as expected, Michaela wasn't going to stay silent. She came back with responses to some of the claims Anna made in her defense video.
Paul is doing to me exactly what she did to his ex-girlfriend, trying to paint them as some sort of crazy liar. The voice message at the end of Anna Paul's video is fact.
We'll take a look at that in a moment. Addis, the center of several heavy accusations made in Michaela's podcast, also had something to say, so we're going to look into his response as well and see how he tried to explain or defend himself. According to the post Addis posted in defense of his position in their relationship, he said, "Our relationship was toxic, unhealthy, and destroyed both of our mental health. Some of the stories she has told are true. Most are absurdly exaggerated, and some are so twisted I'm in shock. My aim in posting isn't to say, look how great I am, or I was wonderful and she wasn't. I was awful and I know that, but even in my darkest moments, I wasn't the person she had invented in her mission to become Australia's most followed influencer. I was a damaged, insecure, and sad person throughout our relationship. I did struggle with my mental health, and that's no secret, and I regret that anyone ever had to bear that burden, especially my girlfriend." Mick also struggled with her mental health from day one, sharing disturbing and difficult stories from her childhood. Now let's take a look at Addis's response, and to be honest, it was a lot more reflective than people expected. In the lengthy statement, he described his relationship with Michaela as toxic, but what stood out, though, was the fact that Addis took accountability for his actions. He didn't try to paint himself as the good guy or pretend that he didn't make mistakes. He openly acknowledged that he was damaged during their time together, and that his struggles with mental health affected him and Michaela. Addis didn't just stop at words. He brought receipts in response to Michaela's claims that he was robbing her and not using any of the money for real promotional work. Addis posted a statement denying it and backed it up with screenshots of PayPal transactions. According to him, those payments were just a few out of the hundreds of promos he says he paid for on Michaela's behalf. He wrote, "She told you that I definitely didn't use any of the money to fund promos. I was robbing her." Then followed it with, "I won't bother posting everyone, but here are just a few of the hundreds of promos I paid for." Whether these payments truly covered what he claimed or not, he came ready to defend his role and prove that he wasn't just pocketing all the money as Michaela had implied. Addis went on to clarify more on the financial part of the allegation, saying, "I'll come back to the end of our relationship later and start with the financial abuse first. To start, you need to understand that unless she's scheming or plotting against someone, Mick is extremely lazy, which is why she had an assistant for 3 years to help her do regular daily chores. She hated doing anything with her page because it was work. She complained endlessly about her previous manager and wanted me more involved because she wanted to make more money. Our roles from the outset were clear." Let's be real, Addis came into this part of his response swinging. He was defending himself and trying to dismantle the entire financial abuse narrative Michaela put out there. What he did smartly, though, was flip the conversation from "I took her money" to "I was doing the actual work no one saw." From his point of view, he wasn't just a boyfriend tagging along for clout. He was running operations, the filming, the uploading, the marketing, the fan interactions. He's claiming responsibility for all of it. That puts him less in the role of mooching partner and more like a co-manager, even if it was unofficial. And if what he said is true, then the real issue wasn't that he got paid, it's that their entire working arrangement lacked structure. It sounds like a relationship pretending to be a business or a business pretending to be a relationship. No contracts, no clarity. But here's the tricky part. Even if he did do most of the work, what people are reacting to isn't just how much he earned, it's the power imbalance, because once you're romantically involved, especially in a toxic dynamic, money and control start to get mixed. So, while his defense makes logical sense, emotionally, it doesn't hit as clean. Still, in a world where people fake effort for a paycheck, if Addis was doing everything he says he did, then yeah, it's fair he wanted a cut. This part of Addis's response tackles one of the most serious and disturbing allegations Michaela made, that he engaged in sexual activity with her without her consent, specifically while she was asleep. Addis categorically denied it, saying, "I never had sex with Michaela while she slept, never ran at her with a knife, or touched her in anger." Beyond that flat denial, he goes even further to dispute it and argue that it was physically impossible at the time. He points to Michaela's BBL recovery, painting a graphic picture of what she was going through. He writes, "It involves horrendous pain and discomfort and a requirement to sleep on large absorbent pads because of the leakage overnight." He claims she couldn't even stand up without intense pain. In other words, he's denying the act and saying the logistics of it don't make sense. Addis also brings up the recovery process, which he claims was so rough that neither of them slept properly. "We didn't sleep through virtually any night, even with heavy pain and sleep medication, because of how bad the discomfort was." If they were both awake most nights and she was in that much pain, then the timeline Michaela gave couldn't possibly add up. This part of his defense is designed to make people question the plausibility of the situation itself. He's trying to shift the focus away from the emotional weight of the accusation and onto cold, hard logistics, making people stop and say, "Wait, could that really have even happened like she said?" In this part of his response, Addis addressed the manipulation narrative, accusing Michaela of rewriting the story to frame herself as a passive victim when he claims she was actually the one pulling the strings. He wrote, "Mick is rewriting history to pretend that she was manipulated into her involvement in the previous video, when in fact she was its chief architect. Don't get me wrong, I was there pushing everyone to do stupid things, making bad decisions after bad decisions. I'm not proud of any of this. You can even hear her and me, of course, telling Anna what to say in her clip because she had a very clear idea of what she wanted from Anna. This receipt is quite confusing, but is an example of how Mick would go off and do all sorts of really manipulative things, like pretend to be someone else to trick people into admitting a secret to her. As you can see, she is explaining to us and pointing out it's confusing because we had no idea what was happening. Don't get me wrong, once she explained it, I got involved again. I am absolutely not innocent here. Addis doesn't try to clear his name entirely, but what he takes issue with is Michaela allegedly pretending that she was just going along for the ride when, according to him, she was the chief architect of the drama. One of the most pointed claims is that Michaela manipulated situations by pretending to be someone else, allegedly to trick people into revealing secrets. He frames it as a calculated pattern of behavior meant to generate sympathy and control the narrative, not just in private interactions, but even publicly through content creation. And to support that pattern, he brings up how she reportedly threatened legal action against a podcast that discussed her, something he says he and others only found out about after it happened.
The voice message at the end of Anna Paul's video is facts. I'll post that to my own account. I'll say that with my full chest. You stole everything about me. All of my ideas, everything. You stole it all.
I remember during the peak of all of this drama, a lot of Michaela's fans and supporters jumped in, emotionally accusing Anna of fabricating the audio where Michaela allegedly said she wanted to bring Anna down. But now Michaela herself confirmed that the audio was real. Now, to be fair, both sides have dirt on their hands. Anna has clearly done a lot for clout, chasing fame in ways that hurt her image, but so has Michaela. This whole controversy, no matter how it started, also became a tool for Michaela to boost her own visibility. It stopped being just about pets, young followers, or ethics on the internet. It started to look like a move to go viral, and it worked. And if we're being really honest here, Michaela criticizing Anna for having a young fan base while posting explicit content is a bit shaky because she's on OnlyFans too. She might not talk about it often, but let's not pretend she doesn't have underage followers lying about their age to access her content. So to some extent, she's also contributing to the same influence problems she's calling Anna out for.
You stole everything about me. All of my ideas, everything. You stole it all. Even the goddamn story about your upbringing. The homeless shelters needing food babes. Ha 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 is all I have to.
Maybe Anna did steal from Michaela, maybe she didn't. The truth is, there are plenty of influencers out there who came from humble beginnings, people Anna could have easily drawn inspiration from without ever knowing Michaela existed. So even if there are similarities, it doesn't automatically mean Anna copied her life story word for word. But let's say, for argument's sake, she did copy some things. Does that really justify the scale of this online controversy? Because when you zoom out, it starts to feel less like a call out for truth and more like a personal vendetta. If Michaela's biggest issue is that Anna stole her story, then it's not really about the lies, is it? It's about ownership. So was all of this ever really about exposing the truth for the greater good, or was it just about getting even? If the main motivation was revenge for being copied, then this whole campaign loses a lot of its moral weight. It becomes less about protecting the vulnerable.
After the breakup, I was so traumatized and messed up from the I endured from the fucking 3 years that I was with you and your brother. Of course I never want to see you post again. I never want to see you post that rapist brother of yours, this abuser, this man that steals. Plaster him up all over your page like he's some nice guy when he hurts women and he's all over dating apps talking all this sorts of crazy shit. Wait for episode 3 is all I have to say. He's convicted too. She's posting this man like he's an angel. She's posting her family like it's some big happy story.
The trauma Michaela keeps bringing up feels like it's coming from a very self-centered place. There's no doubt she's been through things. She's talked openly about childhood trauma and the abuse she faced from people who were supposed to protect her. But as Addis said in his defense, this wasn't a one-sided thing. Both of them were damaged, both of them were struggling, and the relationship was toxic from both ends. So to now act like Anna and her brother Addis are the ones solely responsible for her emotional breakdown, that's a reach. The trauma didn't start with them. They might have triggered some of it, sure, but it's clear that Michaela came into the situation already carrying a lot of unresolved pain. And now Michaela expects Anna to cut ties with her brother, to stop posting him, stop supporting him, simply because of what Michaela went through in the relationship. But that's not how family works. As flawed as Addis might be, Anna is his sister. She's going to stand by him, whether people agree with it or not. That doesn't mean she agrees with everything he's done, it just means she's looking at it from a family perspective, not from the lens of an ex-girlfriend with unfinished business.
Lost myself. I was sitting in my house. Like, you guys have hurt me. Why would I want to see you guys up here posting, and then you particularly posting your brother like he's some hotshot guy? Like he's some nice guy. It pissed me off.
At this point, it's clear that Michaela has lost her cool. A lot of what she's saying now doesn't even feel thought out. It's just raw emotions spilling out. She's hurt by how Anna and Addis respond to her podcast, especially the way their messages painted her in a different light. And now, instead of staying composed, she's lashing out. Take this, for example, complaining that she hates seeing Anna post about her brother. Come on, that's not a valid argument, that's a personal grudge. If something like that affects you so deeply, well, that's exactly why the block button exists. Use it, move on. Why are you snooping around Anna's page and posts? This isn't about protecting mental health anymore. This was a messy clash of egos, emotions, and past wounds. Both Anna and Michaela have their flaws, and neither came out spotless. What started as a call-out turned into a war of narratives. At this point, it's less about who's right and more about who can hold the spotlight the longest.